Hello everyone, Colin Canet here for WoodWorkWeb. Today we're going to be finishing this little entryway table and we're going to be doing a special feature on the top, so stick around and see how we build this. Okay, I've set the height of the saw blade and the distance on the fence. I'm just ready to run this MDF. Here's our big sheet of veneer, and this was provided to us by Oakwood Veneers. I cannot say enough good about this company. If you're looking for any kind of veneers, and we'll put a link on our website, these are some guys you want to get in touch with because they really do an outstanding job. The products are excellent and they're the most helpful, friendly people that I think I've dealt with anywhere in this industry. For this veneer that I have here, I can just cut this with simple, sharp scissors. It's that easy. And I'm going to make it 13 inches by 37 inches. I have a factory edge here and a factory edge here. And because I've got my back to the camera, you're not going to see very much except me marking stuff down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and then we'll just cut this up. Okay, we're ready to start doing some veneering. So the first thing I need to do is to put some of this gel contact cement on both surfaces. So here's our MDF that we cut, and there's the veneer, the back of the veneer that we're going to be coating as well. And I just use these little disposable rollers. They work great, and it doesn't take too long. Okay, we'll go away, we'll let that dry, and we'll come back in about 20 minutes. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay these strips down, particularly with one in the middle, a couple on the sides, and a couple on the ends. And now what I want to do is bring my veneer, and because I've got these sticks on here, the veneer will not stick to my MDF underneath. And what I want to do now is from here, from the back where I am, I can align this. I don't really care too much about the front or the back, this end or this end. What I do care is that this line is fairly close to the MDF because I'm still going to be trimming both sides of this in order to get a nice, crisp, clean cut. And the reason I want to start off with this, move this stick a little closer and this one a little closer, is I'm going to pull this stick out and push down on this because I want this to stick first of all. And because I have these sticks on here, of course it's laying up off of the MDF. So let's just pull that out, and that will drop down. And now I can run that all the way across, which is exactly what I want to do. And now instead of using a J roller, because you don't get enough pressure when you're using this contact cement, instead I have this just a round over tool that I made on the router table, and that I'm going to use to move that all the way along and get a good hard contact. And I could feel that contact cement. I could just feel it grabbing as I move that stick across there. It's just doing a great job. And also, by doing it this way, I don't get any bubbles. Or at least it reduces the chance of getting bubbles. And now we go back the other way. And when I get finished this, I'm going to let this sit for a few hours, because even though this is contact cement and it's basically glued, is about as hard as it's going to get, I find that if you leave it for a few hours to sort of continue to harden, it makes a much better surface. Now I'm just going to do all the way back and forth. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of an edge off this side, then we'll turn it around and cut it to width. Okay, now we're going to cut it to length, or to width, and I've already set the table saw. So there's our tabletop, and the table saw blade that I was using, by the way, is something called a Freud glue line rip, and it gives just an outstanding sharp edge. But here's what I wanted to show you, because next we're going to be doing the glue up. But look at what this looks like with a couple of lighter woods on either side. It just really makes this center pop, and once we get a finish on here, I think it's going to look outstanding. Now the next thing I need to do, of course, is to glue these end pieces on, or these side pieces on. And I think because I need to make sure that they're absolutely flat here, because I really don't have much room for sanding on this, I think I'm going to do one glue at a time, so one side at a time. Okay, so while I'm applying the glue, you get to see a good view of what the top of this table actually looks like. There we go. Now I'm just going to get a damp cloth and just remove some of that excess on there. Okay, that looks very good. Now we'll let that dry, and then I'll glue up the other side, then we can glue the ends. So I've taken the clamps off, and these are very nice, even all the way around. We can still need to glue the ends on, and I got looking at the ends, and of course these are all 2-inch, and I felt it just didn't look right. So I've gone ahead and made some 4-inch pieces, and I think they look much nicer. There's something about optical illusions, things that happen in woodworking, that that's why we dry fit a lot of times, is we find things like this that don't seem to look quite right. So I'm going to change this up, another change on the fly here, and we're going to put some 4-inch boards on the ends here. So I'm going to go over to the sliding miter and just trim these off. But I'm going to do something different with this too. I've never done this before. I'm going to put some pocket screws in the back underneath to hold this on, because I'm going to be gluing end grain to long grain. Let's move that over so you can see that. This is end grain and long grain, and of course you can never get a very good glue joint when you do that. This will glue up fine to the MDF, but I think just to be on the safe side, I'm going to put some pocket hole screws on underneath, and that'll make sure that that keeps that nice and tight against that. So first of all, we'll go trim this down, and then we'll carry on. Now I'm just going to drill the pocket holes into the back of the top. So here's the first end. I've got the top upside down, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on where the MDF, and I've actually marked it on here where I want the glue to flow to, and in this case I'm using my fingers because I really want to make sure I get the right amount of glue. I don't want to put too much on here because I don't want much squeeze out, because we're doing this upside down. Now the last detail is to put the shelf in here, and it's really easy to mark this. I've just got it in here askew, as you can see right now, and I just need to mark the inside of each leg, just like that, and do that on each side and on the front, and I just need to center it up on the front here and use my square to extend that mark on each side, and mark the last legs there. And I'll just extend those and cut those out with a handsaw. Okay, let's see how that fits. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, our tabletop is all dry, and I think it looks great. What I'm going to do now is lay it on its top and flip the entire carcass upside down and fasten the top now to the carcass. Now for fastening the top, I'm not going to do anything particularly special. I have these little clips, and the purpose of these is that when you put a screw into them, it allows for a little bit of expansion and contraction, and this is perfect for installing tops. I'm going to do 3 coats of this eventually. I love the way that contrast comes up like that. Well, our little table is almost done. There's just one little detail I want to show you. Do you notice that this drawer looks a little different than this drawer? Notice the black outline? Let me show you how we do that. Woodworker's Little Secrets, a black felt pen, and that's all we use to put a highlight. Now you could use black dye on here, but a black felt pen works just as well, and you can see the difference that it made. And I'm just going to go ahead now and finish this. This concludes our build on this little hallway table. Believe it or not, a very simple project. All we did was use the table saw and the Craig pocket hole jig. Well, I'm pretty happy the way the little table turned out. And you know, you can use these techniques not for just this kind of a table, all sorts of different builds with similar kinds of legs, desks, tables, coffee tables, side tables, all sorts of things, and of course different tops, all sorts of different combinations. So before I leave, I want to remind you, if you haven't already subscribed, we ask you to subscribe to our channel. We ask you to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. I'm Colin Cadet for WoodWorkWeb. Oh, and don't forget, on Google Plus as well.